Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. We have another full moon today, so I'm going to do a SkyView reading for you. And we can see that when I share now my desktop, that you can really see that square, that tension that is going on. And I don't think that I need to explain you a lot about tension going on when you look out in the world in the moment, what is really going on. We have the sun here exactly on the AC. So we can see that this also is a kind of an indication that karma is being played out. Remember, the sun represents our consciousness, the moon represents our feeling, and we have the moon in Libra. Now, this is a constellation that in Western astrology never would happen. When we have a sun in Taurus, the moon always would be in Scorpio. But since in SkyView Astrology, meaning the real star constellation, you can see here like Virgo is very big, Leo is bigger, Cancer is very small, Libra too. So we have some overlapping conjunction that go in a different the different sign, because it does not go into Scorpio but here in Libra. So Libra tells us that we have something to balance, that something is out of harmony, out of balance, but that's also quite clear that we can see. And when the sun is in Taurus, it means that the manifestation of what is happening now with that square of Saturn that connects the planets. We have another earth sign. It is like that things are being dismantled. Like it looks like in a moment it gets worse before it gets better. So what is happening now in the world is that things are coming to the surface that people didn't know that were there. Now, this is a time, we can say, of very clear disclosure, and we can see here from the moon we have a trine, a gift, an aspect of a gift, and here from the sun we have one too. So we can see that there is a harmonious energy helping with this, and here we have Mars and Neptune. But again, they are also in 12th house, including Jupiter, Venus, and Chiron. That is hidden for the masses. That is that we don't see what is really going on in the background. And this is why so many people in the moment also feel very tired. We have very massive influx of powerful energy, as you can see from the Schumann resonance. And even the people from the where they do it, where they observe it since years, like the Schumann resonance input on 7th of May, they said they've never seen something like that before, and I haven't either, and I have followed the Schumann resonance for many years. So you can see there is on many different layers is something really powerful going on. So we have once here the sun, this is where we have to focus our consciousness, just went into Taurus. Now people start to manifest, and here is also Mercury, but now we have a retrograde Mercury, and we have again the same problem of misinformation. Now we have a war situation in the world in the moment. We have to be very clear about that, even if they are not shooting with cannons and whatever so much, but it's more like a psychological war. And there is some shooting, yes, absolutely. It's really horrible. I really feel that energy, and I really feel with those people. And I just can say, send them love, send them love, send them energy, because, you know, this is not something that can, the whole shift that's going over now, that can be without conflict. It's not possible, because we are in this situation where so much darkness have to come to the surface to be revealed. But we have also to be clear about that those souls involved, they have chosen, they have volunteered to be there, because they know that life is much more than just one physical lifetime. They know much more what it really is to live here, and they see the bigger picture of the shift of the ages, and they will come back in new bodies afterwards, or even probably more sooner than later, because this is the time that those souls want to be here for this massive shift. But there is also something, there are certain souls that can only be born on the planet, like souls with very, very low consciousness cannot come back here to the earth. And those of reptilian heritage that were here, many of them will also not be here anymore. Some might be escape, but they will have no way, when the frequency of the earth is higher, to exist here anymore, and they will have to retreat to another planet or whatever system that is according in a lower frequency where they can exist. But Mother Gaia is ascending into a higher frequency, and this is why it looks so horrible. So please don't give up. You can see that things are starting to manifest. Here we have the note. That means that this is a global karma that is coming together. As I said before, we are not dealing in the moment in personal karma so much. Just insofar that what you have agreed to volunteer where you are. This is your personal choice. We've been talking about the free will yesterday, actually, with my students. And, you know, the free will is like in that frame, when you have incarnated to the planet at that moment, when you chose that lifetime, you have chosen your path. If we can say in your chart, your curriculum. And within that curriculum, you have the free will to experience things in a positive or in a negative way. But the path you have already chosen. And maybe I repeat this little sample. If I give you a certain amount of money and give you 2 weeks of holiday, so you are free within this frame to choose what you're gonna do. And this is same when we have incarnated within this frame of what is happening on the earth. We have chosen to be here in a certain position. And now see, with the moon in Libra, this is the negative or the descending node. This is also connected to karma, where it comes from. We can say the node axis also is explained as the dragon head and the dragon tail. So the dragon head is where we're going, and the dragon tail is where we're coming from. So we're coming from an imbalanced world, and this is here the tension that we have, and the help that we have is coming in the moment from the area of Pisces, which is not seen. That means also that we have not only human help. You have to see clearly that there are others involved that are helping us in the moment to shift the consciousness level, to help those people who are ready to wake up, to realize what is going on. There's still many who are not awake, but it's much more now. The consciousness level is rising. And if you are familiar with the books of David R. Hawkins, Power versus Force, and if you are able to check with kinesiology, you can follow up with that one, how the consciousness level is rising in the moment. So we can see here also Uranus is in the 12th house, Mercury is retrograde. So all what we can do in the moment is send in light, keep the energy going. It will be another couple of weeks of confusing, contradictory information coming out that we don't know really what is happening. If you are in a situation that you can help other people, do it. help them, stand up for them, feed them, give them clothes, whatever they need. But it's not like that you can go in another country and help people. Be there where you are in the moment and look what is happening in your personal environment and do whatever you can there. And if you cannot do anything because your life is more or less normal, then you can sit and meditate and imagine that the whole world is in a light bubble. That's very easy to imagine, and just maybe from your heart center send light and envelope the whole planet. And you can use a pink light, which is very powerful because it represents unconditional love. And it's very important in the moment that we don't do so much in taking these guys are right, these guys are wrong. What I have figured out, that a lot of so-called bad guys are not really bad guys, but they play the role so that everything can happen. You will probably be surprised when everything comes out in the open, which will take still a little while, that certain players that we cannot see that are in the back, or they are on stage and we think they are bad guys, but in fact, they are working with the white hats. But they have to play their role. You know, if you want to be a spy, you have to be very familiar with the country where you're going. So, for example, we can often see that, like, okay, I'm Swiss. I was born in Switzerland. So if I want to be a spy, say in Italy, I need to be perfect in Italian, and I need to know all the way of life they have and understand it, that I can actually go for an Italian. So I probably go and live there first for a couple of years to really learn everything, to be part of that. And in, say, for example, in some kind of espionage that is like, for example, in the medical field, I have this a certain profession and I go into a certain company to work there, and I collect data that later I can give the data out. So this is exactly the same here, that some of those who are in different roles now, they might look as in the moment as the bad guys. They might not be bad guys, but they are there to help to bring everything to the surface in the moment, what we need to know, that our ascension can happen. There is no way this ascension can happen before all the dirt is cleared out. And this is here we have on the MC, the gold, we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius, the sign which is connected with religion, but not in the sense of the religion today, but in the original word of religio, which is Latin, which means the reconnection to the source. So I was jokingly talking about the DA with my students. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about the AI when you listen to what the World Economic Forum wants to have, you know, to get you really the chip under the skin. So there is a total surveillance with AI. So I don't need the AI, I have the DI or the SI. And that means the divine intelligence, not the artificial intelligence or the source intelligence. So we talk about DI here. So when we reconnect with the DI, and this will be here the MC, to reconnect with the source, so you can say the SI here, so the source energy, then we receive all the input and all the information from inside and not outside. Now see, Mercury is retrograde. Mercury is the planet that represents the human being. So here in that method and how I developed the SkyView Astrology, for me, the personality is represented by Mercury. We have on top we have the moon, means that is the receiving part, that's the input that comes in. Then we have the circle, and this is our thoughts that we think about it. We have mind and emotion, that is the circle more or less, that process information that come in. And then on the bottom is the cross, this is the materialization. So everything, what we see, what we hear, whatever is input into something that we make out of it within the processing and then materialize it. Like it can be the spoken word, it can be something written, or it can be anything that you manifest. Like if you want to build a house, you first have the idea, and then you start to process it, and you get some more input, what kind of house you want and what you put inside, and then you materialize it. And this is what is happening in the moment, but the materialization is not coming from outside. So don't expect information from the outside to inspire you, but we have to kind of switch our attention inside to the DA, to our divine intelligence, that this information come from inside out. You probably all heard about the Akashic records. Now, the Akashic records is something that everything whatever existed is recorded. And when you are connected with the Akashic records, if somebody is psychic and has the talent to tune into that, you can get any information from anything, whatever happened on here on the planet in general when you're a human being. But it's not that you need to do that, but when you go and you can ask access into the Akashic records, to help you to understand. Because in other situations and civilizations, we have gone through this process before, and this comes very clearly true in the Pleiadian teachings, that we have been there before. In a way, we can say we at the same time are our ancestors, but we are also at the same time our future self. And our future self has come back here to help to go forward. And what it brings is an experience, because time in that way we perceive it does not really exist. So it is, when you understand that, you can let that whole chaos happen out there without being too much attached to the situation in the moment, because you understand what game is being played out. So what is happening in the moment, this has to play out to balance everything, so we are clear that we can go up into the higher dimension. So it is part of the healing. And here we have the Venus and Chiron in Pisces. That means that if we can let go and we center within our heart and we focus on love and not on all that stuff that's going on outside, and don't say the Russians are good guys, the Americans are good guys, or whatever. No, they're not. Both of them have good guys and bad guys. It's just how it is. And they're everywhere. And some of them are just in a role to help to play out this end game. We are in the end game, you know that. Before we move into the complete new energy, it has to be finished. Now, to make sure that we are helping the game, and maybe that we can speed it up, I don't know. But if we send in positive energies, I'm sure we can help that it goes faster, and that maybe less casualties are happening. So if you are in a position that you can help people to understand what is going on, and also with the health situation that we have in the moment, I just watched a little video clip that I'm posting in my network that is like, natural immunity is 27 times more powerful and stronger than the shots. And we're not talking about this one only. We're talking about all of them. And, you know, this has been prepared for years. When I was a little child, I remember we had the vaccination. I have two brothers, and it was in the winter. It was the smallpox vaccination. And we lived in a house where we still have wood fire. So it's not the central heating. That was an older house. And we had this shot, and we all three of us were very, very sick, had very high fever. And my parents had to put the beds in the living room where we had the heater. And there's still photos in old albums about us three kids with high fever. I was about 6, 7, my two brothers, each 2 years younger. It was, my mother still told the story about that, how she was afraid that we're gonna die. It was so bad. And of course, we had no idea at that time. And when I had my kids, I had them also vaccinated at that time. And it really started that my kids got sick. And I stopped the program when they were about 2, 3 years old. They are just 1 year apart, the boy and the girl. But the damage is done. One is dyslexic and the other one is another hyper energy, because they're both sensitive people, and the damage is done. So it is very important that you try also to research, think back, when were you sick, what happened, and look at it so that we can tell people that they understand. Because the important thing is not to convince them of something. They have to realize it, that this is true. We have to give them clear samples so they can understand what's going on. Now, see, as I said, the information, it's not really coming from the outside. This is a time where you can go and do the research, go back into your own life, look at what happened to you, maybe make a list. When have you been sick in life? What kind of illness, what kind of topic came through your life, so that you start to, this is connecting with your divine intelligence, with your DI, that you can start to understand what happened. Because only in that way, if we are connected with our inner intelligence, we can move forward. We don't need all the propaganda and that input from the outside. So this constellation shows us very clearly that if we balance within ourselves our knowledge, that we go back and we look at material facts back in our life, what happened. This is Taurus, like the consciousness goes back to look what happened, maybe make a list, and then you can see very clearly, and you do not need to believe anything, because then you know. Knowing is always much more powerful than believing. So we can expect, you see, I said there are benevolent forces in the background, and these are human beings and these are non-human beings too. We have both here with this constellation. And in the background, there is step by step, it's going forward. Here we have also another small karmic aspect to Jupiter. And this is like, you know, Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius, the one going beyond the boundaries. And if you look at Jupiter here, the moon here is standing on the cross. In the contrary for Saturn, the moon is hanging on their vertical bar on the cross. So in the Saturn is kind of representing the soul in the underworld. This is Saturn. This is the day that is in the underworld. This is when Jesus died. No, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He was in the underworld. And Jupiter with the moon standing on the horizontal means to penetrate this horizontal line, to see beyond, to reconnect with what we really are. And this is so important to understand, that also that's one reason why they did not want us to know about astrology, and everything is twisted in the tropical Western astrology, and as a fact have nothing to do with the real constellation. See, for example, here the Western astrology is here Libra, but when you look here outside in the sky, you can see that's all Virgo. So if we believe that, for example, that this is happening is Libra or Virgo, whatever, but in fact it's a different sign, we manifest the wrong energy and we go against the flow. This is why the energy is so important, and this is why so many people struggle in life, especially those who always say, I'm a Cancer, I'm a Leo, I'm a whatever, because when you say I am, you constantly manifest this energy, but that's not who you are. And as I said before, the astrology chart does not show you who you are. It is the curriculum of your life, not showing who you are, but where you're going and what your path is. So if you understand that, this is a very, very great help. And now it is time to really turn around, go inside, use that divine intelligence or source intelligence, that you go back and you find the reasons and the samples why things are happening. Connect to the Akashic records, ask your divine guidance to connect you even to your own personal past life, or even bigger pictures. If you have experience that you go into, for example, you can ask, how far can I go back to understand what is happening here? And there, by the way, like David Icke and others, they have done a lot of research on this already, that there is even outside of you, there is information that you can see in these bloodlines, what really happened, alternative history, what really happened in the world, and not what our history books want to tell us. Now, this is very important now. We have a root in Gemini. See, that is meaning that communication is important, but communication how? As I said, with retrograde Mercury in Taurus, it is go look back, look at the facts, go look what happened really, and see how much what we are told in history is not true. Once you find the truth, and once you see that our ancestors haven't been as stupid as we think they are and just farmers, maybe then you can also see the deception that is going on. And the moment you see the deception, you can let it go. The moment you know the truth, you know, and you do not have to believe what other people tell you. And I think this is one of the major keys that we have to consider. You do not have to believe what other people tell you. You know from yourself, you know from your own intelligence, your divine intelligence, your own research that you've done in many different ways. So you don't need to believe what other people tell you. I hope this helps you a little bit for the next couple of weeks till we have a new reading. If you like it, please make a thumbs up, and if you like it, share it with your friends. We'll talk soon again. Bye-bye.